It's a little bittersweet for me because I'm a fan of both of them. Okay, I think this year, 2025, is going to be an end of an era of sorts. I got a feeling that a couple of bodybuilders that we've gotten used to seeing out there, this will most likely be their final year. Uh, every story has to come to an end eventually, and I think their competition story is coming to an end. It's a little bittersweet for me because I'm a fan of both of them. Here we go. William Bonac, and he will be competing at the upcoming Arnold. He's been out there for a while. He's one of the oldest out there still competing. I believe William is 43 or 44. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if he's not, he's very close to it. He's one of the senior guys out there. William, at his best, at his prime, he was good enough to place second at the Mr. Olympia, arguably could have had the win. He was a perennial top 5 competitor in the Olympia for numerous years. A couple of years ago, we thought we might have been seeing the last of William. Looked like he was slipping a bit. But since then, he seems to have been rejuvenated. He's looked his best since we started seeing him slip a little. He'll never be the William of old. That's not going to happen. Going into this Arnold, I still think William Bonac can very easily be top 5, top 6 in this Arnold. He's not going to win it, but he can definitely be top 5, top 6. I know he wants a win because he wants to go back to the Olympia. After this Arnold, I'm sure he's going to compete again and try to get back to the Olympia. And he might. I won a show last year that got him to the Olympia, placed in the top 10 in the Olympia, and he placed top 2 or 3 in 2 or 3 other shows. So he can very possibly qualify. He's not qualifying at the Arnold. But what I do think, although I do believe he can very easily fall into that top 5, top 6, there's a possibility that he might fall out of the top 5, top 6. I think if he falls out of the top 6, that's an if. I think at that point, he might actually decide to just hang up the trunks. If not, he's going to go on and try to qualify for the Olympia. If he doesn't qualify for the Olympia, he's not going to make a go again to try to come back next year and qualify. And if he does qualify for the Olympia, it's going to be tough for him to place really well in the top 10, although I do think he still can be in the top 10. And I think anybody who look at it, he's going to realize that his best days are done. He's not going to be a serious threat at all at the Olympia, and that's not a smack at him. Like I said, I've always been a fan of his. It's just reality, and he's going to do the smart thing. He'll walk away with his head held high, and he'll say goodbye to the competitive stage. Another one I think we're going to see the last of this year. Also going to be in the upcoming Arnold, and definitely can definitely place in top 5, 6, or even possibly even higher. I would not rule that out. Not going to win the show, and he doesn't have to qualify for the Olympia. He's qualified for Olympia for life. Brandon Curry. His last showing at the Olympia wasn't spectacular by any means, but he doesn't, going by some recent pictures we've seen of him, it doesn't look like he's finished either. It looks like he might still have some fire left in the tank. Going into this Arnold, I do think he can still place well in this Arnold. I think he can place on the higher end of the top 5, 6. That's possible, but he's not winning. I know Brandon, well, I believe Brandon realizes that he's not going to win the Olympia either. But he wants to go out on a high note with his head held high. I do believe he's a very strong candidate for the top placings in this Arnold. Like I said about William, I think there's a possibility if he does fall out of that top 6, and I mean nothing's impossible. It can happen. I don't think it'll happen, but it could happen. If he does fall out of the top 6, like I said about William, I think at that point he might say, you know what, maybe it is time to hang it up. If he places well, he's definitely going to go back to the Olympia again. I would bet anything on it. How well he can place in the Olympia, like I said about William Bonac, Brand is not going to be, I don't believe he's going to be ever again a threat to win the Olympia. He can place well, and considering his age and everything else factored in, placing in top 10 is still good placing, but I still think he's been possibly placed in the middle of the pack in the top 10, which at this point in his career would be a win of sorts. He understands he's not going to win the Olympia. He'd like to go out with his head held high, on a high note of sorts. But I think any way you look at it, once this year's done, Brandon also will realize that doesn't make sense to continue, and his competitive story will come to an end also. Like I said in the beginning, it's somewhat bittersweet for me because I'm fans of both of them, but I do think whether it's going to be after the Arnold or after the Olympia, by the end of this year, by the end of 2025, when all is said and done, I think we're going to see both Brandon Curry and William Bonac hanging up their posing trunks. Hopefully they're going to still be involved in the industry in some manner. Well, if you agree or disagree with anything I've said, let me know in the comments section. This is Michael Diamond. I'd like to thank you for watching Muscle Central.